It is a beautiful Monday, and I want to say sorry for posting this so late. With work and a lot of other things, I've been a little bit slow. But I want to also apologize for the camera angles that you're going to witness throughout this film. I am not the best at filming yet, and I'm shocked I even got half the footage I did. But I would like to say that the rails were built at a buddy of mine's shop, so I didn't want to intrude on his privacy by filming a lot. He's an older gentleman. But the footage I did get to capture, I'm going to include it here and just wing it. That's the best part about starting out. Hopefully you guys understand, but let's jump into it. Hi guys, what's up? I just got this thing sanded and I wiped it off with those drop cloths, blew it off with a leaf blower. Try to get as much of that dust off there as we can because I don't have a dust collection system. But we're gonna move it into our makeshift paint booth here, which is a horse stall that we threw a whole bunch of tarps up on, drop cloths, hung some wire, and got all kinds of stuff laid out in here so we can kind of use the paint sprayer. Since we're only painting one cabinet, I don't see the point in busting out the paint sprayer. So we're just gonna go ahead and wheel this thing in here manually, set it up on some blocks, and drop some primer on it. I think that'll be good. We'll let that dry up. So I'll see you in the booth. All right, so sorry I haven't been really filming. I don't really have too much to film, but I did get the face frame out. So here it is. We're gonna be filling these voids here on both corners, both sides. I've kind of given this a rough sanding. You can kind of see I have to wipe it down. That's why we wipe it down with some water and crap like that. But so while that's sitting there about to be prepped, I've been in this paint booth. You guys will not be able to see. Sits in there. That's the cabinet. I got the first coat of primer on there, and it's going. It's gonna need a second coat for sure. That plywood soaked up a lot of that primer, but that's okay. Before we put the second coat of primer, I'm gonna get some sandpaper and sand hand everything down, and then second coat of primer, and then final coat. So I'll see you then. Hey guys, so I just finished up this second coat of primer. Well, my fault. Second coat of finish on the cabinet here. So we have the face frame here. This is the piece that's going to attach to the actual cabinet. That's why it's still white, but everything else is a nice tan brown. So what we did is we sanded the project. We put a fresh coat of primer on it, let that dry, then we sanded that first coat of primer, because that first coat of primer will raise up any imperfections and all that good stuff. So after we sanded, we wiped the whole entire piece down with a wet rag, paper towel, get all that dust and everything off, and then we put our second coat of primer on top of the first coat, let that dry, then we did 2 coats of finish. So we have a nice light brown coating. The issue here is I had to go to Home Depot halfway through because that paintbrush wasn't doing it. So I got some paint rollers to make it look better. So we'll see how this turns out. See you in a little bit. So this is the carcass, or the outer shell of the cabinet after a first coat of primer. In this next picture, you'll be able to see right there on that side panel why we add 2 coats, because if not, there's really nothing there. So we're going to roll right into the doors, or the frame. This is a 5-piece door. You'll see in a second where we slide that centerpiece in. This is the part that we made at a buddy of mine's house, so I didn't want to film all this process, but we brought it back home after everything was cut out on a shaper, which allowed us to get the pretty grooves on the inside of the door. After we got to this stage, we had to sand everything down. So here in this image, you can see my wife sanding the doors in the alleyway of the barn. It is super cold and windy, so sorry about that. What I find really fascinating about this is we have a beautiful cabinet that came from rough lumber, which I'll include an image in a second, but I just find it fascinating that we can take nothing and turn it into something After that section, we have to install the doors onto the actual cabinet. So here in this video, I'm just testing around on some scrap pieces of wood with different hinges to see what I like best, where I like the spacing to be able to see the gaps. And to wrap up the footage, this is the final product. It's not the best. I find something wrong with it every day, but that's the process of learning.